Hi guys, this is Chef Dangoor with TigerChef. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a goat cheese tortellini. This is everything you guys are going to need for the goat cheese tortellini. We have cremini mushrooms, some onion, white onion. We got some goat cheese, egg for egg wash, got a little bit of oil, and this is your tortellini paper. First thing in the tortellini mix, what you're gonna need to take care of is the mix itself. And you gotta start with the mushrooms. So we're gonna take our cremini mushrooms and do a very, very, very thin slice, which we're gonna saute these with brunoise onions. And those are just very tiny diced onions. So now we're gonna brunoise these very thin, very, very thin. So we're gonna make thin slices down across the onion like this. And then we're gonna slice it through the middle like this. We're gonna try to do these as close as possible to each other. I'm going about 1/8 of an inch from each cut, okay? Push this all together and then I'm gonna cut downwards, again, as thin as I can. All right, so we got our pan on high, and we're gonna drop our mushrooms in. We're gonna let them saute for about a minute before we add our onions. These guys have been going for about a minute. We're gonna add our onions in. But before that, we're gonna give it a nice pinch of salt. Now here comes the onions. There we go. It's really starting to cook now. Gonna get a good caramelization on these guys. And then we're gonna pour it right over our goat cheese. So in this batch, we used about 1/4 pound of mushrooms and about 5 tablespoons of onions. And we're gonna be using 1/4 pound of goat cheese. This is enough to make you 16 tortellinis. All right, we're about done over here. So again, we're gonna give it one more pinch of salt. I'm gonna toss it a little bit, move it around. And we're gonna pour this over the goat cheese. Now this is gonna melt the goat cheese a little bit. We'll be able to mix it in with a fork. All right, so before this thing cools down, I wanna mix it together. You see the goat cheese is cold, but the mushrooms are warming it up. We're gonna put this aside, and now we're gonna make our egg wash. All you're gonna do is just take an egg, crack it in there, and just beat it. That's it. Now it's time to wrap the tortellini. This is something that you're gonna get with time, so don't get frustrated at the beginning. You don't need a lot of mix inside this. It's packed with a lot of flavor. You know, you got the onion, you got the goat cheese, very strong flavor, so you don't need a lot. Just that much for each tortellini. And this might even be a little bit too much. We're gonna start, you learn. You know, you might put too much at the beginning, you might put too little at the beginning, but after you roll about 10 of them, you're gonna get the hang of how much to put in there exactly. You want this to be packed, but you also don't want it to come open while you're cooking it. So I got the mixture in here. I'm gonna fold up the back end to meet with the top end. All right, I'm gonna push it down, and then I want the top end, as you can see, it's longer than the bottom end that came to meet it, which is fine. I'm gonna push this all the way around the whole tortellini. And also, I'm gonna try to squeeze out as much air as I can. I want no air bubbles in here. All right. Now the egg wash is to keep this thing sealed, so in the cooking process it doesn't open. Now we have it like this, kind of looks like a gyoza, but we're not done. So the next portion is, I'm gonna take this end to meet this end while flipping this top portion up. So slowly it's gonna come up like this. I'm gonna push the top portion up like this, and now end to end, like that. And now I'm gonna pinch together where the ends are. One's gonna be overlapping on the other. And to keep it secure, I'm also gonna get some more egg wash, put it on the top and put it on the bottom. Egg gets very strong when it dries. So if you put raw egg on anything, it's gonna get hard as a rock. It usually keeps whatever you put together. And boom, just like that, that's what a tortellini looks like. All right, so I just wanna show you, sometimes I just lay out like a couple of them. I'll put the mixture on, and then I'll just do them all at the same time. It's more when you're doing like a lot of these, you wanna try to do this in steps, almost like an assembly line for yourself. So real quick, I wanna talk about this paper. So usually I'll use, and this is something that you ideally wanna use, is pasta, homemade pasta that you roll out on your own. But a lot of us don't have the time to make it. So the other thing you can buy is wonton paper, and that actually works as well. And so here's another good thing about it. Once you make a whole batch of these could last for about 4 or 5 days, and even longer if you freeze it. So if you guys wanna, do production on these, I would suggest making a huge batch because it is very time consuming. And the more that you do in a row, the better you get the hang of it and the faster you'll be able to do these. So I would suggest making huge batches of these to make them and then storing them in your freezer. So now when the tortellinis are done, you can either freeze them like I told you for a little while, for a couple weeks, or you could drop them in the water. Either way, whenever you're gonna cook them, you're gonna leave them in the water. So now when we come over to the water, I want you to see, I got it boiling right now, but you don't want it, this is too high. It's gonna break apart the tortellini. So you wanna get it to a nice, slow simmer. And they'll cook in like 2-3 minutes. Even if they're frozen, just add on an extra minute or two, but you want the water to be going that kind of a boil. Just gonna drop them on in there. Because I didn't freeze these, they're gonna be in here for about 4 minutes. So our tortellinis have been in there for about 4 minutes. And as you can see, they sit up actually pretty nicely. That's also a good reason to leave them sitting for a little while. And when you will come to serve these, you can either toss them in brown butter or you can serve with the classic tomato sauce. Just like that, pour it over the top, and you have a nice little appetizer that goes around. So guys, listen, you want some more tasty ideas like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for all your chef needs, come visit us at TigerChef.com. See you guys around.